This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. You know, I was getting ready to watch Monday Night Football last night, and I'm just thinking I'm watching a football game, right? Josh Dobbs playing with the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. No, I wasn't watching a football game. Apparently, what I was watching was the interlude to a debate that I thought was long over. And that's going to be the topic of today's video, which is, why are people still obsessed with arguing about Josh Dobbs? Now, look, I understand why people did this maybe in the beginning of the season, but at this point, when the team has reached 7-4, despite numerous starting quarterbacks, it's kind of pointless. I'll explain why I think this, because I think there are some people who are what I would categorize as Josh Dobbs truthers in the audience who think that this team would be better with Josh Dobbs, or think that they might score more points with Josh Dobbs. But I think that they're missing a lot of details in that analysis. And here's what I mean by this. Whether you think Josh Dobbs should have been traded or not, if you kept Josh Dobbs and you told me that he had to play, well, Deshaun Watson was going to play 6 games, you would say 7-4, best case scenario. If you didn't know the Browns' record, you would say that that's still the case, even knowing what Josh Dobbs did this year. Like 7-4, in my opinion, it's probably best case scenario that the Browns can ask for, given the situation that they are in. And what's the situation? They're down 2 starters on the offensive line. They have lost their all-pro running back, their all-pro quarterback, and have other injuries lingering around that. They're 7-4. That's the best case scenario. Now, where I think people get fixated and lost in the Josh Dobbs argument is in the micro. Because that's where you can make the argument that Josh Dobbs shouldn't have been traded, right? It's all in the micro. If you zoom out, it doesn't really make sense. But if you get caught in the minutia, caught in the tiny details of stuff, you can convince yourself of things to be true that aren't. It's interesting to me how people have gotten lost with this with Josh Dobbs. Because, yes, Josh Dobbs is better than PJ Walker. I don't think he's better than DTR, especially when he has prep. I think DTR is very competent with getting rid of the ball, not taking sacks, and he makes plus-level throws without putting the ball in danger. I'm taking DTR over Josh Dobbs any day of the week, and so did the Browns coaching staff. One of the details that gets lost in the Josh Dobbs argument is people assuming he would start over DTR. He wouldn't. He didn't even start over DTR when they were on the same team. He got benched for DTR, probably for a good reason. But people still want to argue this point. Once Deshaun Watson went out for the year, they went to DTR. This point became moot. Once you beat the 49ers with PJ Walker, honestly, the point became moot. Because you can argue that Josh Dobbs is better than PJ Walker, sure. But you're probably not winning more games with Josh Dobbs than you won with PJ Walker. Josh Dobbs puts up more points. Yes. You probably win games you won by more points. You probably lose games you lost by less points. For example, maybe if you have Josh Dobbs, you aren't in the tight squeeze of a game that you are with the Indianapolis Colts, and you win that game by a comfortable 14-point margin. Maybe if you have Josh Dobbs, you don't lose the Baltimore game by 20-something points, You just lose it by 10. But you still lose the Baltimore game and you still win the Indianapolis Colts game. You see what I mean? Maybe you beat the 49ers by a touchdown instead of squeaking it out by a field goal, but you still beat the 49ers. Maybe you lose to Denver by a field goal instead of losing to them by multiple scores once DTR goes down, if Josh Dobbs is still on the roster, but you still probably lose. One of the things that's frustrating with this whole attitude with Josh Dobbs is people acting like they're entitled to a better record than 7-4 with the roster and the issues that the Browns have right now. I'm sorry. I'm telling you this right now. 7-4 is best case scenario with this team. There's not a single one of you that if I would have told you in the offseason that your starting quarterback would miss 6 games in the first 11 and be out for the season by week 12, if I would have told you that Nick Chubb would be out 5 quarters into the season for the year, if I would have told you Jack Conklin would have been hurt out for the season within 3 quarters of the year, if I would have told you that Jed Wills would be on IR for most of the end of the year, if I would have told you any of that before the season and then asked you to predict the record, there's no shot anybody's predicting 7-4. There's just no shot. Absolutely no. With Josh Dobbs on the roster, there's no shot anybody's picking 7-4. Why are we acting like 7-4 is not one of the best case scenarios we could be in? Yes, we lost the Seattle game because of turnovers, but guess what? Josh Dobbs turns the ball over a lot too. He has 14 fumbles on the year and 10 interceptions. Yes. He turns the ball over a lot. He's always turned the ball over a lot. So if your argument is that you win the Seattle game because Josh Dobbs turns the ball over less, where is the proof of that? There is no proof. There is no proof. The Browns have gotten the best case scenario out of backup quarterbacks. And the truth is, whether that backup quarterback is Josh Dobbs or PJ Walker, they are fortunate beyond belief to be 7-4. Like, we should be ecstatic, thankful that this team, given all of these injuries, has found a way to be 7-4, because that's beyond the best case scenario. But instead of appreciating this, we're crying about trading Josh Dobbs when it doesn't really look like trading Josh Dobbs made a difference either way. Yes, he's better than PJ Walker, but he's not so much better than PJ Walker that it would have changed the result of any of these games. You know how good an NFL player has to be worth 2 wins or a win? You know how good an NFL player has to be? That's MVP level stuff to be worth 2 wins above replacement. People are arguing to me, like with a straight face, respected people, right? You even hear people like Tony Grossi put his, I have to put the tweet up on screen. I'll put it up at the beginning of the video maybe. But respectable people, well, I don't know about respectable, but people who've been doing this a while have been arguing that the Browns might be 9-2 if they don't trade Josh Dobbs. Are you serious? You think he's worth 2 wins above replacement? Deshaun Watson ain't even worth 2 wins above replacement. In order to get 2 wins above replacement, that would mean not only Deshaun Watson is healthy, but Nick Chubb would have to be healthy, and you might be 2 wins above replacement because of that. That's how good you have to be in order to be worth 2 wins above replacement in the NFL. In order for it to be reasonable to assume you win 2 games because you have one person on the roster. We don't even have one guy like that. Josh Dobbs, not worth 2 wins above replacement. Not even worth one. He's a replacement level player. He's been a replacement level player. It's a great story and all, but he's been a replacement level player. You're not doing any better than 7-4 with Josh Dobbs. I don't know why people want to argue this still. I don't know why people want to go, woe is me, in a season where you've lost everything that I've mentioned and you're 7-4. I'm sorry. Nobody cares about the woe is me stuff, Cleveland. You are fortunate this year to be 7-4. Could it be better? Yeah. If Deshaun and like Nick Chubb don't get hurt, obviously it could be better at that point. But acting as if Josh Dobbs is going to make up the same difference that Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson would make when it comes to winning losses is ridiculous. We need to stop this. Because all this has done is made people not appreciate the Josh Dobbs stuff. Because we got to argue about whether we should have traded him or not when it was an inconsequential trade. You trade Josh Dobbs, you go 7-4. You don't trade Josh Dobbs, you go 7-4. Either way, you should be thrilled to be 7-4, given those circumstances. You don't have your starting quarterback and your franchise running back almost most of the season, and you think we about to go 9-2 with Josh Dobbs? We got to stop this. It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I said this on Twitter. I'll say this again. Some of y'all are so caught up in these pointless what-if scenarios that aren't even realistic that you cannot appreciate the miracle that is right in front of you. Y'all so focused on being upset about this season or finding something to be mad about when you are literally living in a miracle, 7-4. With all of these injuries. Not a single one of you predicted this. Not a single one of you predicted that this would even be possible given the circumstances. But we out here like, we should be not. Come on. And we saying that on Josh Dobbs. I'm just so tired of people trying to find any angle possible to tell you that the Browns getting to 7-4 here is not an accomplishment. Despite the fact that we know what this team is at to overcome to get to 7-4. I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Everybody wants to find a trade they don't like. Everybody wants to find a sign. Like, it's always what they didn't do. They're 7-4, given all these circumstances, and we're complaining about a trade for Josh Dobbs. Why? You're 7-4. That's my little rant, because I was shocked to see that this was still an argument. Like, maybe when they were 2-2, you can make this argument. But come on, man. Come on. Come on, man. Like, at this point, it's ridiculous. We're literally in the best case scenario that we can hope for, given these circumstances, right? Given all the injuries, 7-4 is the best case scenario. It wasn't changing with anybody else being the backup quarterback. You can argue that Josh Dobbs would have played better, and I'm not going to say that's a wrong argument. Josh Dobbs probably does play better. And again, what that results in maybe is that you win some of the games you won by more points, and you lose some of the games you lost by less points. But you still win the games you won, and you still lose the games you lost. The margins got tighter, result the same. It was an inconsequential trade. It was almost irrelevant when it happened. It's irrelevant now. Browns are 7-4. After making that trade, they'd probably be 7-4 if they don't make the trade. And honestly, they're fortunate to be 7-4 because it could and should be much worse than this. Just ask the Bengals. They didn't even have their quarterback get hurt for most of the year. He just missed his first game right now. And they're 5-6 because he was kind of hurt. I don't know why we not appreciating this more, because it could and should be much worse, but it is not. 7-4. It's a pretty damn good record. You're not bettering that with Josh Dobbs. I don't know why people think this. Y'all have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.